Mummified remains of body found by a cleaner rolled in a carpet and left to rot inside a Cindy mansion for at least a decade revealed to be a man known to police for petty crime. The mummified remains of a man found wrapped in a carpet inside a Cindy mansion have been formally identified, as police reveal the dead man was likely hidden in the home for at least a decade. A cleaner made the grim discovery inside the overgrown Greenwich hoarder home on Sydney's Lower North Shore last Tuesday. Police sources told the Daily Telegraph the remains are of Shane Snellman, a petty criminal who was believed to have been aged in his 30s when he died. Mr. Snellman was known to police for his links to minor crime. He hadn't been in contact with his family for many years and no missing persons report regarding his disappearance was ever filed. The home belonged to Bruce Roberts, a hoarder who inherited off his mother, and died of natural causes in the front room in July last year. Mr. Roberts' death is not being considered as suspicious. It has not yet been confirmed whether Mr. Roberts and Mr. Snellman were known to each other. Police will now investigate how Mr. Snellman died and how long he had been there, and why his remains were not found earlier. They told the Daily Telegraph they can't rule out that Mr. Roberts knew the body was in his home or if he was involved in Mr. Snellman's death. The executor of Mr. Roberts' estate organized for cleaners to get rid of the rubbish last week so the home could be prepared for sale. That's when the mummified body was found. The cleaner is still very shaken up about it all, the executor said. He was sitting next to the rug and thought it was a cow's hide wrapped inside, because of how dried out it was. Police believe the man in the rug was aged between 30 and 40 when he died, and told the Sydney Morning Herald he could have been killed over 10 years ago. It's correct to say that the victim has been in the house for a long time. But there are a lot of factors that come into the investigation, like time, temperature and so on, and a forensic investigation continues, police said. One cleaner who worked at the property revealed the deceased estate was a complete fire hazard due to how much rubbish was piled in it. We have done some shocking cleans but this was one of the worst, a cleaner said. She claimed old newspapers and mail were stacked from floor to ceiling, leaving a narrow pathway through the home. The house is so full of stuff that you can't open some of the bedroom doors, she said. The executor of the estate called in the cleaners last week and said the discovery of the body was a big shock for everyone. He explained the body was found in the third bedroom of the property. Mr. Roberts is understood to have primarily used the other two bedrooms. Mr. Roberts was estranged from his family, the executor revealed, and has one living relative, a cousin not living in Sydney. Greenwich neighbors described Mr. Roberts to the Daily Telegraph as unsociable and creepy. Mr. Roberts, 60, died in the house in July last year, and the property has since been untouched. There was even stuff stacked up under the house, the cleaner said. The forensic cleaners were brought in to clear out the room where Mr. Roberts was found dead, and finished their part of the huge job on Friday. A separate cleaner was hired to remove rubbish from the property, and is understood to have found the body while clearing out rolls of carpet. It is just very creepy knowing we were working right near a mummified body, the cleaner said. Police began a methodical dig of the backyard of the Greendale house on Friday, just hours after a post-mortem on the man's body confirmed his death was suspicious. The dead man, believed to be aged in his 30s or 40s, had been dead long enough for his body to mummify, police said. Neighbors revealed the home had been deserted since Mr. Roberts died in July last year. Mr. Roberts inherited the house when his mother died about 20 years ago. Edna Scott, who has lived across the road for 39 years, said Mr. Roberts didn't live at the house, but would visit from time to time. Mrs. Scott said Mr. Roberts' mental health declined following his mother's death. He was never very friendly, but after she died he slowly became more and more reclusive and unkempt, Scott said. I would wave at him when I saw him in the street, he would just stick his head down and keep walking. Mrs. Scott said the man never lived in the property, but would visit his mum often. When he was younger he would arrive on a motorbike, with a nice-looking leather jacket and jeans.